How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. ACGAM sent me this mechanical keyboard, mouse, and low friction touchpad to test for you guys. Now the street price for these things runs about $60 for this keyboard, $20 for this mouse, and $30 for this low friction mouse pad. I tested out these products for 3 whole weeks, so I have a really good idea of how they perform. This keyboard in particular contains Outemu blue switches, which has an activation force of about 60 grams plus or minus 10. So if you're into clicky switches like the Cherry MX Blue switches, this keyboard will be a viable contender. With regards to this low friction mousepad and this mouse, I thought that the low friction was incredible because when I used it, it was like, oh my gosh, how come I used my previous mouse? This is my previous mouse right here. It's in really bad shape. It's a Logitech mouse and it's a wireless thing. What I realized with this mouse is that maybe it's bad or something, but I have to replace the battery roughly once every month or so, and this gets really old really fast. What I noticed when I switched over to the ACGAM mouse is that wow, I couldn't believe that whenever I dragged the mouse, I had to push a lot more force in order to move the mouse around. And that this thing itself, it's very heavy. This thing on the other hand, because there's no battery, it moves a lot smoother, and also on this low friction pad, it feels like, I don't know, like 1/3 the weight that you have to drag it at. I'm gonna show you this a little bit later. Now all of these keyboard, mouse, and mouse pad, they're all light up. I used to think that I don't need them to be lit up because I'm no gamer. I don't need them lit up for, you know, some fancy reason just to make it, you know, kind of change colors and things like that. There is a really good utility because whenever the light is a bit dimmer, maybe you have the surrounding lights a bit dimmer and then you want to type something, it's very nice to have the backlight of the keyboard turn up so that you can see the letters. Otherwise, you have to have the room completely lit so that you can see the letters on your keyboard. So in that sense, this has been very useful in having it lit up. Now all of these came in packages, so I'm just gonna unbox them real quick so that you just have an idea of what they look like in the box themselves. Okay, just beware that I cheated a little bit and I opened up these products before. Inside over here is the mouse itself, cardboard piece. Over on the top side there's a little bit of foam. It almost seems like you can use this box as a carrying case for this mouse later on. Just kind of stick it in here and then you can carry it somewhere, but I don't know, it just makes it a little bit bigger. Anyhow, it comes with the driver install disc and a manual, but we don't really need any of that. Over here is a really nice touch because they have this little Velcro thing that gets attached to the wire. And I do enjoy this thing because whenever you want to put it together, you don't want a big mess. It's nice that it comes with this little Velcro thing. Over here in the mouse itself at the underside, you'll notice there's a little divot here where you can pull out the side piece so that you can switch it with something that looks a little bit more ergonomic. So I kind of preferred this one because I wanted to hug around my hand. I don't know, some people might prefer this one versus the other one. And then on the other side is the same thing. You just pull this right off. You'll notice on the underside of these things, there's little magnets over here, so you can just kind of put it over here and it'll just lock right into place. This is much better than if they had little plastic pieces that locks in there, because this essentially would try to always attach itself into the mouse, and I never had a problem of these 3 weeks of these little side pieces falling off. They are very secure. Over here is a low friction mouse pad. Let me just open it. There's nothing underneath. Take off this thing. And looking at this thing, I really like this metal bracket over here. It just kind of gives it a nice touch. And this cord here does have this fabric wrapped all the way around. So it's one of those durable kind of cords. And it goes for all 3 of their products. On the back here, there's these little rubber feet thing and the middle to support the middle part. I turned down the lights a little bit so that you can see the colors over here. All of these are RGB. This thing kind of changes color as you use it, and this thing as well, and you can change this in the control panel. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by low friction here. I have my old Logitech mouse here with a really torn up mouse pad. I'm gonna put this scale over here and attach it to the mouse and pull it laterally. And you can see over here it says 0 grams, and as I pull it, it stops at around, I don't know, about 150 grams or so. Now let me put this ACGAM mouse over here on this low friction touchpad. If I'm moving this laterally, I'm hardly using any effort at all. But let's measure how much effort it actually takes. You can see it stays basically at 0 grams. I'm sure it's more than 0 grams, but it's so low that it does not really move the little scale thing over here. And this is kind of like what I feel like personally too. As I was using this mouse, I was like, oh yeah, you know, nothing is wrong at all. And you know, it has some weight to it. But as soon as I started testing this one and I used it for the very first time, I'm like, whoosh, oh my gosh, you know, I was like pushing it with so much force. And now I'm just kind of like, yeah, you know, this is normal. It's just really, really great to have it such low force, really. You really gotta try this out. Lastly, we have this ACGAM mechanical keyboard. It is Outemu blue switches over here. We have a key puller here, the driver disc, and also the manual. Nothing much else in here. Take this off. The wire on this keyboard also have this double-sided Velcro thing, so you can loosen it up just like this. There's 3 positions, or 5 I guess, of where you can route the wire. So you can do it, you know, any one of these ways here. For these little stands here, some people like it like this, but generally if you want to type really fast, you just leave them low and you just have the keyboard really low and you type that way. You can see as I press this, it does do its little clicking. So we're comparing it to the Cherry MX blue switches here and also the Cherry MX green switch over here. And if I press this, yes, it's lighter. And this one, it feels, I can immediately feel it's a little bit heavier. But if I compare it to this green one, this Outemu blue is definitely lighter than this green one, but heavier than this blue one. So it's in between. So let's try out this key puller here. I want to pull out the P over here. Alright, and we see the blue switch underneath. And I guess for this backspace, we gotta go this way maybe. Yep, and then you got the switch over here. And it seems for the spacebar, they don't really use a little metal bracket to keep it level. They use these little black switch things, these fake switches over here. These are not real switches. Let's put this back. Okay, so let me just plug it in and it's gonna go through this startup sequence like this. And basically you can change the lighting of this thing by pressing function and scrolling through 5 different options. Now you can change these with the driver program. And over here you can change through 5 different modes right on the keyboard of the lighting. Over here you got the blue scrolling everywhere. Then you got a G appearing. Over here it's just full light, all the same color. And then over here is just a gradient from up to down, and it seems like it's changing. Over here it's kind of like a color wheel, it kind of rotates like this. Over here are some macro buttons, and you can program these so that you just kind of touch them and then it'll play your macro. And then on F6 you can change it so that it's not normally lit, but when you press it, it does something. So you can go, you know, kind of like lasers or something. This is kind of cool. And then you change it to this one where if you press a key, it does a wave. And another thing where it looks like it's an audio bar. And this one. And then this one where it kind of fades away. And then there's a whole bunch of different ones where you can program what it cycles through once you install the driver. Now it seems like it's really, really configurable in terms of what kind of light scheme you want. Personally, I like it to have it on like this. Something where all the keys are lit so that I can see which key that I need to press when the lights are really dim, so I can just type whatever I want. Now, the most important thing about this keyboard is the mechanical switch itself, which is the Outemu Blues, and this would be the main factor that you should be buying this one for, is for the blue switch. If you don't like the blue switch, you really have to buy a different one that has a switch that you actually like. I hope you enjoyed the review of these ACGAM products. I'm definitely going to integrate this mouse and mouse pad into my day-to-day usage, mainly because it's so much lower in friction and I don't have to push the mouse around. However, for the keyboard, because of the numpad, I'm just not a person that likes to use the numpad. I mean, I like to have it there, but I don't like the idea of having it in between this area, and since I'm right-handed, I use a mouse over here. And because I want my keyboard to be directly in the middle in front of the monitor. This takes up space, so I prefer to have a shortened key, and also I'm not that big of a blue switch fan. If you're into blue switches, or if you're currently using a mouse that is wireless and that requires you to charge it all the time, well, think about switching to a wired mouse, because then you never have to charge the batteries or, you know, stick it in the cradle to charge it anymore. If you're interested in these products, I'll leave an affiliate link down in the video description below. If you're interested in supporting my channel, I also have an Audible link down in the video description below. I have a Patreon over here, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.